Google is adding more to their unacceptable business practices policy. And I'm going to walk you through what they're adding, what my analysis of it is, and how this does or doesn't affect you as an advertiser on Google's platform. Hey, this is John from StubGroup. We are a premier Google partner digital advertising agency, and we are also the #1 resource in the world for fixing Google suspensions and policy violations. So, unacceptable business practices, this is a subset of Google's policy called misrepresentation, and a lot of ad accounts will get suspended specifically for unacceptable business practices as the policy that's referenced. I think it's number 3 right now is the most common suspension after suspicious payments and circumventing systems. So here's what Google has announced as the change. This is an update that takes effect in March of 2024. Unless you're in France, in which case it takes place in April of 2024. Don't know why it's a month later for French advertisers, but there it is. That's in the policy. So here is what Google's doing. They are adding information to their policy. Specifically, they are saying the policy, or I should say, a violation of the policy includes enticing users to part with money or information by impersonating or falsely implying affiliation with or endorsement by a public figure, brand, or organization. Now, this is very, very similar to what's already in the policy. So the nuances are interesting, but let me show you what's currently in the policy. So this is the unacceptable business practices policy as it currently is written before this new update takes effect. As I mentioned, it's under the misrepresentation policy heading within the Google Ads policy architecture. And currently, this is how they describe what you can't do. You can't impersonate brands or businesses by referencing or modifying the brand content in the ads, URL, destinations, or misrepresenting yourself as a brand or business in user interactions. So similar there, here it's saying you can't falsely imply affiliation, but specifically we're talking about enticing users to part with money or information in that context. So it's similar, but a little bit different because currently the policy doesn't mention money. It does mention money in the next bullet point, which is enticing users to part with money or information through a business that lacks the qualifications or capacity to provide the advertised products or services. So this new language is kind of a bridge or logical extension of what they have already. They're already saying that you can't impersonate brands or businesses, and they're already saying that you can't entice users to part with money or information if you can't provide to them what it is that you're promising you can provide to them in exchange for that money or information. And so now they're kind of bridging that and saying you also can't entice users to part with money or information by implying an affiliation that you can't back up. So it's not a massive change to the policy, but I think what's always more important often is not so much how the policy changes, but what's changing on the back end in terms of how Google enforces it, and specifically what's changing algorithmically that's going to red flag Google to think that things are violating this policy. Because often when Google changes a policy, it means they're changing or updating the enforcement mechanisms behind that policy. So there are, I think, some industries in which could easily be mistakenly flagged by this type of policy. Think franchises where they are authorized to use maybe the logo of the franchisor, but Google is not good at understanding that nuance, and they'll often see these other domains and be like, oh wait, you're enticing users to part with money by pretending to be this other company. So anything like franchisees, affiliates is another big one, where if you're using information, names of people, names of businesses that aren't your name or business, and you're simply facilitating traffic to or sales of those products, that may get cracked down upon even more thoroughly than it is currently. And really any other types of industries where there's that affiliation, implied affiliation, kind of brand usage going on, Google's probably going to be looking at that with more of a microscope than they are now, and they're already looking very closely at that now. So if you're in one of those types of industries, just be aware, and again, as always, be as proactive as possible about making super clear exactly what your relationship is, backing up that relationship on your website through documentation, through as much as you can in order to avoid the perception of evil in the minds of Google's robots and human reviewers as they're crawling websites and making decisions about whether you may or may not violate this new updated policy. If you want more information about Google Ads policies and everything else Google Ads and digital advertising, tap subscribe to the button here on our channel to get more information just like this. And if you have questions, leave a comment or reach out through StubGroup.com, and we would love to assist you further. Until next time, this is John signing off.